Hey friends, it's been a minute since I made a video, and so I want to share a little bit of what I'm working on lately. I've been super busy with college and stuff, life stuff. But another fun thing that I have been doing is we recently got our Grandma 3 board back. It was getting repaired. There were some faders and buttons that were not working properly, and it took a long time for that to get resolved, unfortunately. So I was without it for like 3 or 4 months or something crazy. But it's finally back. I've had it back for a couple weeks now, and I'm working on a new workflow to just kind of streamline some stuff for us. And we didn't have a great busking workflow on Grenade 3, and so I've been working on that. So, in the interim, by the way, I was using an MA2 console. I'm not sure if I officially mentioned that, but it was it was all kinds of fun. Um, so now we're back on the MA3. I'm working on a new workflow. This is going to involve having some different sequences on buttons that I will use during the show. I'm going to turn the house lights down and show you just a little bit what these are doing. So for instance, I have my pixel bars dimming. That is way too bright. These are insanely bright fixtures. I'm using these group masters to limit each group of fixtures, and then I'm playing effects back on these buttons. I think that's pretty typical for busking workflow. A detail I don't think I've personally seen people doing before is each of these, so these are dimmers right now. Each of these has like a low value to high value on the first cue, and then the second cue increases the low value. And then I have another increase on these ones. The pixels don't go as bright, so I can't make as many steps of the low value that are meaningful, so they only have two. And then the last one is a stop. And so then if you hit it again, it'll turn off. But that's a fun thing that I've been playing with. So I'm basically tapping this button multiple times to increase the low value, and then using the fader essentially to decrease the high value if necessary. Or I'll start with them off and then bring them in once I have them going. So that's a fun new thing that I'm experimenting with and still working out all the kinks of how to make that work. So I just thought it would be fun to share a little bit of that. That is just a project that I'm working on. Another thing I'm working on kind of with that is updating my plugins, making a whole new process with the plugins. So for my Lua people, um, I don't know if I'm going to do a full breakdown of what these plugins are doing, but if you want some inspiration, literally what I was about to do before I decided, oh, I'm going to make this video and talk a little bit about what I'm doing, is I'm working on testing my setup service plugin. So let's do that together. So I have my setup service plugin right here, and I'm going to click on it, and it gives me the options. What type of service are you running? How would you like to run it? And also this menu is going to change. I just decided I'm going to not have separate sections for busk and run sequences. I'm going to have that be a little bit later on. I'm going to have the setup be a little bit more similar for those than what I'm doing right now. But for right now, I'm going to busk the weekend service, and I'm gonna type these in and then turn the video back on. Okay, I put in the names of the songs. I have two columns for leaders because sometimes we have a co-lead. So if we have a secondary leader, I'll put in the name of that secondary leader in the second position. And my songs are going to actually tell me in the notes. It's going to put in the notes who the leaders are so that I can keep track of that as I'm running service to change key light and stuff if I need to. And then I put in the names of the songs. I'm going to click confirm, and it copied my default sequence. Now this is identified by the tag actually. So I have a whole bunch of sequences that are defaults for different things. This one's tagged with the tag standard master. So my plugin's looking for the one with the tag standard master, and then it's copying that, and then it's manipulating that for the service. So it put in the name of each song, the name of who's leading it. It nothing else really needed to be manipulated for the most part. Actually, it did change some things, but we also created macros over here. We actually copied these from a database, and they have the BPM of each song in there so that I can click these during service to go back to the BPM if I've adjusted it. These macros are also used in the queue commands to reset the speed as soon as I go to the queue for that song. We have the fade times for each song. So my fade times always match the duration of the intro for the song. So these macros actually contain in the note the fade data. So I figured out how long this fade in should be, how long the intro is. It's in the database. It says fade 6. And so then it put in this cue in my fade times and my recipes, they all say 6 seconds. So that was something that it got that data for each song from the macro and put it in there. Basically, that went over a lot of the details of what my setup service plugin did for this service. And I have this option for if I want to run services based off of all of my effects busking. But I also have a whole other setup for when I'm running sequences. I have a database of sequences for songs, and I program songs and put them in the database, and then it will copy those and it'll do similar things. So it made the setup super fast and easy, and it's really fun. I love working on this kind of stuff, and I hope that gives you some inspiration for stuff that you can do on your own. And maybe at some point in the future, I will go over some of the stuff that, like technically how my plugin is working in a video. I'm still working on ironing out all the kinks. This test was successful. This is working now, which I thought it should be. I just wanted to double check for sure after changing a couple things. But I am about to make some more changes based on having operated with this workflow for a couple of weeks. I'm going to add the option to do kind of like run sequence for one song and busk the rest, that kind of thing. And so, still working on some stuff. I'm moving around where some different sequences will be assigned and stuff like that. But I might update later once I've done that. It's an exciting project, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. And if you're interested in more similar content, let me know.